Sonic
Lab TV.
Hello, we're looking at the GearBox bundle, the gold plugins bundle from line 6. It's got absolutely tons of modelled amps, outboard EQs, compressors, Stompboxes, speakers, all microphones, all sorts of things. Also in this package you get the line 6 USB DI GearBox, which is basically it's a nice chunky kind of metal box with direct in for your guitar with a pad, and stereo in, stereo out for connecting to your audio interfaces. Got a nice chunky volume knob. The thing about the line 6 stuff is it gives this thing called tone direct monitoring, which is kind of like almost like magic. Somehow they've written the drivers that enable them to return the affected sound back to the audio interface before it goes into your sequencer and gets involved in all that sort of latency stuff. So you get very, very low latencies, which makes it apparently very playable.
Hi, I'm Dave Carline. I'm here with Sonicstate today, and we're looking at the line 6 GearBox Gold. So I've always come from a background which has just been using older amplifiers, real guitars, real pedals, real everything, putting it in a room with real mics and miking it up and getting real sounds. I've been doing computer music for a couple of years now, played with the ideas of DIing guitars, plugging guitars into different hardware units and stuff like that. I've always been a bit sceptical about digital recreations because they never quite capture the same thing, although I do think that you can use them for completely different things that are just as good. With line 6 in particular, I think I've only ever used a Pod 2, so I can't really criticise because they are a lot more flat sounding on the whole. But I have to admit, when I did get this product through, I was thinking, I think it's going to have its uses, but I thought they would be fairly limited. So you do need to be online to register this product. You have to go onto their website, register, and also download something called Gear Monkey, which you can then use to access upgrades, updates for the software you already have. And the only problem I had was with downloading the RTAS update, and eventually it worked, but there were just a few teething problems there. To operate the plugin, you need the Tone Direct. The Tone Direct needs to run off of its own USB port. You plug in at the input at the front here, you've got a pad switch, analog outs at the back. You need to use the DI out into your interface. My first thoughts about this were, I looked at the box and it said I could use this as an RTAS plugin, and that for me was the first thing that made me get up and go, yeah, great, because I'm a Pro Tools LE user. For me, for my kind of setup and what I do, I would have had limited uses for it as a standalone. So this has definitely made it more useful. Okay, so this is how it's set up. We've got an amp model here. So you choose your amplifier. And this gold edition has a lot of stuff because it also comes with bass amp models, also comes with preamps. You've got model vintage preamps, modern preamps, console preamps, loads of guitar amps going from the 1950s right up to today. You've got clean amps, dirty amps, heavy metal amps, rectifiers. You've got everything from the earliest Marshalls to the latest Mesa heads. And then you choose your cabinet. Again, loads of models, 2x12s, 4x12s, bass cabs, everything from old boutique stuff to modern age, big, loud metal cabs. So looking at the actual amplifier, you might be able to tell what that is. I certainly can. This is obviously a Marshall JCM 800, which is the favoured JCM amplifier. Very, very popular indeed, especially in the 90s. So once you've chosen your amp and your cabinet, the rest of it is set up like you would set up a traditional guitar rig, like anyone does, from Radiohead to Robbie Williams guitarist, I'm sure. And so as soon as it comes out of here, you go to your Stompboxes. Here we've got a noise gate, a volume, a wah, and you can choose from a whole list of Stompboxes. And then, much like it would actually happen in real life, you've got a microphone. You can choose between 57 off axis, a 421, or a condenser. You can actually choose how far away this mic is as well. It's quite handy, and the modelling on that isn't too bad at all. And then you've got the kind of effects you would apply after post-recording. So we've got a compressor here, modelled on Telectronics LA2A, which is quite nice. Okay, so noise gate. We've got one noise gate here, and that's generally how it stays. Variable threshold and decay there. This is a really cool feature. I like this very, very much. this is a wah pedal. And they've got the best part of about 10 models here, going from really colourful bright sounds to dull woolly sounds. And the idea is that you set this knob here and you create a half-parked wah sound, which is brilliant. It's just like you've put your wah pedal on and left it in a certain position. So we've got a wide selection of Stompboxes. They don't all do the same thing. You've got distortion pedals, you've got fuzz pedals, you've got compressors, you've even got synths, analog synth simulators, harmonizers. We've even got something that models a Digitech whammy. We've got EQs, sweepers, phasers, loads of stuff. Particular ones that stand out for me are the Tube Screamer simulator and the Fuzz Face simulator. We've got graphic EQ here. It doesn't appear to be modelled on anything. It's just graphic EQ, digital style. The graphic EQ comes quite handy when you're using something like the 1950s Gibertone recreation, because obviously old amps like that have less EQ control. And they have been modelled accurately in the sense that you do get the same buzz, you do get the same treble response, which is a bit crackly here and there. Preamp models, you can choose American Classic, Vintage UK, Lo-Fi, Vintage, Modern or Console. This is a brilliant feature because you can actually simulate putting curtains over a wooden panel, and behind the wooden panel there's also some stonework in there. This actually sounds really good as well. I was really impressed with this. It really deadens everything off with those curtains drawn. A bit like my bedroom. They've got all your usual modulations and delays. So modulations, you might have analog choruses, space echo style emulations. You're going to have spinning speakers, tremolos, all that kind of stuff. Same with delays. You can have all your sort of classic delays, slapbacks, echoes, stuff like that. And the brilliant thing about all of these is you can completely sync them up to the tempo you're working in Pro Tools. And then you've got a whole list of stuff here you can do. Say you're doing a delay, you can do it whole beats, half beats, quarter beats. You know, you can do even 16th beats with the third accented and stuff like that. So you're getting real scope over your delays here. You can have da 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 da, and even to the point where you're accenting certain delays. I think that's an absolutely brilliant feature because, especially with lots of analog simulations, you can't get that depth on tuning in with something's timing. So my main concern about GearBox was that I didn't just whip it out of the box and just start whittling on it and just forget about all the features and the fact that you can actually use it in a real world recording environment. So I thought I need to apply it to something that I would actually use it for in a project or in my own music or whatever. So what I did was I found a session which was just kind of an idea that I'd laid down, rough bits here and there. The idea sounds like this. It's just got basic drum programming and just guitars, a bit of bass, a couple of tiny synth parts. Okay, so the guitar used on this was an Epiphone Les Paul with P90 pickups straight into an interface. There's an organ from Expand. I just tried to choose a very basic one just for the case of the experiment. I've got an Ovation A-Station synth going through a Joe Meek preamp, and other than that, just straight in. So the first thing I tackled was the main guitar line, which is just a weedy sounding single note based part, straight into the interface. So obviously it sounds dry, it sounds nasty, could do with brightening up. So I just thought I'd put it through an amp and into a space and see how it sounds. So before I activate this, let's just have a look. It's going through a Roland JC, no noise gate, bit of compression and a touch of reverb. Straight away it sounds more real. The reverb sounds a bit digital to me, but the actual amp itself sounds quite good. Tiny bit more drivey than a Roland Jazz Chorus, but it does have that clean edge. So I applied that procedure to a number of other guitars, again just putting them through amps, a bit of drive here and there. So I thought I'll try and do something a bit different, and I just got a really bog standard organ sound and tried putting it through a Vox AC30. This is the organ. Tiny bit of drive, but to me it just wasn't cutting through in the mix, just sounding really digital. I've got a number of effects on this. It's being compressed, it's going through a buzz wave, it's being modulated. Got a vintage plate reverb on this as well. So obviously I haven't gone completely to town on this, but I have gone through most of the components to this bit of music and just adjusted it in subtle ways to how I think appropriate. I've got 8 instances of GearBox and we're not having crashes. I did have one more on there and we were getting CPU overloads with a couple more plugins as well, so I had to take a few off, but considering there's 8 active GearBox inserts there, it's not so bad. The amount of effects you apply within GearBox also makes a lot of a difference to CPU usage. This is a Vox AC30 top boost. It's a Roland Jazz chorus. JCM 800. That's quite accurate. Got a Mesa rectifier here.
How's that?
It's heavy. 50s Fender small tweed.
What's that like?
Really like that, it's nice and bright. This is based on the Marshall JMP preamp, which is a 1U rack unit. Just like it. This is based on a 1960s Gibb tone. It does actually sound like a valve amp when you say. The good thing about this plugin is the fact that it gives you a chance to play with a load of equipment, amps, effects, etc, that you wouldn't normally be able to play with unless you had a really, really big budget. The fact that there's such a wide array of amps on there means that there is something for everyone on this plugin, I think, within the digital realm. I like the fact that you can do things to guitars on this plugin that you can't normally do without a whole load of equipment, like synthesizers, spinning speakers, loads of different tremolos, stuff like that.
So how much is it then?
Okay, so if you wanted to buy the hardware with the gold bundle, that's $699 US list price. Now you can pick that up a lot cheaper on the street. That works out as 433 British pounds. Again, you can pick it up cheaper on the street.